Welcome back, Sagittarius. I have to admit, this is a pretty big day for me. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I am super obsessed with these woodwick scented candles. Anything that smells like the woods, I am just totally, you got me. You guys get the green hit on the brand new forestry scented candle. What's up, Sagittarius? How's it going? You been having a good month? Yeah, I guess that's to be expected. Well, you know, things won't stay this way forever. Have my tourmalated quartz pendulum, in case I need to divine any yes or no answers. I've mostly been using it to figure out if I have dealt the cards right or not. Just to make sure, just to be safe. I have my smoky quartz that I love with me here today. And I have this really beautiful fluorite wand. The variety of fluorite just floors me every time. It's all so beautiful. You can see maybe down at the bottom here. This one has like chevrons, it's got opaque bands, it's got striping. Love that. So, for today's reading, I'm going to be doing a 12-house spread, much like I did in March. And I'm going to be using the Heindel Tarot, which I bought in New Orleans. This deck of cards is really cool because there's a lot of different symbolism in it. I don't necessarily 100% agree with all of it, but that's a good reason to design your own deck. It's pretty darn good. I like it already. Yeah, okay. I feel like I've been a little too exuberant for ASMR today, so I'll try my best to tone it back. Just a little bit. Smoke's doing something really cool. I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but it's kind of like flipping around the wax, curling and twisting like some kind of ethereal serpent. One thing that I've noticed now that there are fewer people outside making noise and stirring around, you can hear birds singing. I haven't heard birds singing since I've been in this apartment. But you can tell that the birds this is gonna sound just a little bit crazy, okay? Between you and me, Sagittarius, it sounds like the birds have been listening to people blasting popular music. Cheep, 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 cheep. I found it very disturbing. How do I know they're real birds, not electronic spies like my thermostat? All right, almost there, I promise. Shuffling cards is like when you're making bread and you have to knead the dough. All right. And I don't have a fancy spray this time. What I have is just regular old potable water. But water is very important. And clean water is especially important. And now that we're heading into the summer months, don't forget to stay hydrated. I will also be using Pixie's Astounding Lenormand, which is a deck collaged together quite well from the work of Pamela Coleman Smith, who illustrated the Rider-Waite deck. It's a good start. First house, House of Beginnings, ruled by Aries, fellow fire sign. Ace of Pentacles, or Ace of Stones. Same basic idea. Ace of Pentacles also came up in the Scorpio reading, but you saw I shuffled those cards very well. All right. Money. Yeah, no kidding. Money, more money, an ending to something. And the lilies is a reminder to be prudent and purify yourself. Strive for purity. So if you're like given to excess during this time out of boredom, eating too much or drinking too much, just to be mindful of that. All right, the second house, House of Possessions. Taurus governs this house. We have the Princess of Swords reversed. So this is kind of like the Page of Swords energy. That's active ideation. Aset, who is depicted on this card, was the goddess of magic. She was one of the practitioners of Heka. And she was a queen. But here it's in the reverse. Maybe this is you and you're not quite there yet, or maybe this represents a air sign in your life with whom you are at odds, and they could be somebody with whom you own property or like a joint finances of some kind. We've got the stork. Stork brings blessings. Could be money. The stork is depicted as bringing babies. We have the fox. Fox is all about being smart. Fox is about being so smart, you make everyone around you smarter. And the mountain. Yeah, so there's still an obstacle to overcome before your smarts are going to translate into your blessings. Or maybe there's a person around you who's conniving. The fox isn't an outright betrayer, but they are a schemer and somebody who will work for their own best interest. Third house, Gemini's house, House of Communication. And we have the Empress here in that house, which is not necessarily air energy, but she is a triad, she is a 3. And it's about divine creative spark. The Empress is a very maternal, loving, warm kind of an energy. So perhaps you are embodying all these things, and that's making you easy to communicate with. We've got the Bear. Now, the Bear is somebody who is powerful enough to be dangerous. We've got the Heart and a letter. So, some kind of news about maybe there's somebody who really needs your affection, and you are giving it to them, or it's also entirely possible that you're loving someone so much that it's dangerous to both of you. That could be the situation for some of you, especially if there is written evidence involved, like text messages or letters back and forth. That's your communication right there, so be careful. Be careful. That guy I'm going to put aside. 4th house is your home and family, and it's ruled by Cancer. And here, Cancer's card, the Chariot, has come up, but it's reversed. So, what does that mean for me, Sagittarius, you say? Well, sometimes cards are inverse because they've already occurred and you're getting over them, or because they haven't yet happened. It's something in the future. So the Chariot could be a victory on the home front. Maybe you've been conflicted about something, and now the path is clear and you're able to see the right course of action. What is this? The stars. Alright, so probably this is an energy that is going to be coming into your life, but not quite yet in May. I think we're seeing some other energies. Discipline. Yeah, the stars and the whip together kind of equals the Chariot. And the cross. The cross is all about divine intervention. Deus ex machina. The 5th house, governed by fellow fire sign Leo. It's all about your creativity and your romantic partnerships. And here we have interference, the 8 of Swords, which signifies you feeling trapped, whether or not that's actually the case. So maybe creatively you feel kind of bound up. feel like you got lots of good ideas. The child could be about someone acting childish, or it could be about innocence. And the book, that's about secrets. Possibly what could be going on here is that I'm reading all of this together. So the Lenormand cards, you're supposed to just read them in a very superficial way. But when you pair it with this, it looks like all of the elements are in your favor, and that's why the Sun card is there. But maybe there's a secret from your childhood that you haven't told anyone. And it's starting to creep in around the edges and cut you off from your creativity because you're having to compartmentalize it. You're like, all right, I'm gonna take off this sweater. I'm gonna put it away until winter time. And then you look down and you still have the sweater on. Trauma is not that easy to get rid of. This is the 6th house. It has to do with your daily routines and your health. So you have the 4 of Swords here, which it says truce, but it's really weird to me. I think, to me, the 2 of Swords and the 4 of Swords, the 2 of Swords in this deck says peace, and then the 4 of Swords says truce. But to me, the 4 of Swords is more like peace, and the 2 of Swords is more like truce, because the 4 of Swords is about a period of rest, which I think a lot of us are in right now through circumstance. But it's just a semantic tweak. We have the Clover, which is luck. Clouds, you're gonna need that luck. You got a big storm coming. And a lady. So, I feel like the lady might bring trouble, but you will be lucky in this situation. And that might be more to do with your health, and then the 4 of Swords might be more to do with your daily routines. Or maybe you have people staying with you that wouldn't normally be. I know we're all trying to shelter in place as much as possible. Maybe you know somebody who's not really doing a very good job of that, and they're threatening to come to your house. It's tough to say. The 7th house. This is Libra's house, and it has to do with marriage, partnerships of a financial nature, legal proceedings, and of course my favorite, open enemies. But it could be a combination of those things as well. So this card is actually often seen as a marriage card. It's the 4 of Wands, and here it's in the reverse. Oh my god, I can't wait to set my house on fire with this amazing candle. It's in the reverse, so there might be a marriage on the horizon sometime this year, but probably not in the month of May. We do have the dog, so there's somebody who's very faithful to you. The key, that's access to things that you haven't had access to before. And the tree. And the tree starts out as a really small seed that you planted a long time ago and have fostered and nurtured into a massive plant. All right, the 8th house, Scorpio, death, sex, and other people's resources. Scorpio and Sagittarius are very close together, so it's possible that you're a Sag rising Scorpio watching this, or that you have Sagittarius placements in your chart, or a cusp or something like that, whatever. This is the Knight of Wands, and he's in the reverse. You could be really, because this is death, sex, and other people's resources, you could be really kind of chasing romantic partners around right now. In an improprietous way, because the Knight of the suit is very fast moving energy, and this here is reversed. Or maybe you wish you were able to go out and meet new romantic partners or amorous partners. The birds, little bird told me that you have a decision to make, and your home life is involved. So maybe people around you are talking about how you're kind of not taking the high road right now. It's possible for some of you. The 9th house. Here we go. It's your house, Sagittarius. I really love this card, and I haven't seen it in many readings so far. As you know, the 9th house is all about higher learning, travel, and just in general, anything that is elevating your vibration. Here we have material gain, 9 of Pentacles, and it's in the reverse. So I am seeing a lot of energies this month that might not be culminating right now in May, but are kind of leading toward a bigger picture. And so there's going to be, there's going to be a new start to some money here, because there's going to be an ending as well. And that ending might be due to an impropriety, so just be very careful about that. Bouquet, which could be a flirtation or a gift. So that fits in with material gain. The Scythe. It's possible that you're going to have to cut some things out of your life. And the Anchor, the strong foundation. Strong and firm anchor. So it might be I see here you're kind of stuck between, something that's really appealing and something that's very stuck. To me, that says that it's going to be tricky for you to cut out all the things that you're going to need to. the perfect time to cut things out of your life, old habits, old ideas, and then of course, once you get rid of your old habits and your old ideas, the old hangers-on who were attracted to those things also kind of fade off into the distance, right? And the waning moon cycle leading up to the new moon is a really good time to focus on kind of pushing those energies out of your life. And you don't have to do it all at once. Just because you start working on it doesn't mean that like you have to be fixed by the time you wake up the next day. You can just kind of keep plugging away at it. Find little things that you can do that kind of create these baby steps for you to take incremental steps toward progress. Especially if you have childhood trauma, which I do see holding you back with your creativity in the 5th house. And it's not coming up in like your home life, it's not coming up in your daily routines. This is something that you've probably buried like really deep. And that kind of trauma, because you don't really understand how it's affecting you, although we will in a minute, is much harder to control and much harder to properly get rid of. Because until you find out what's causing it, you're really just kind of treating the symptoms rather than the actual trauma. It's like, well, I know my arm's dangling, but I don't know that it's broken, or I don't know where it's broken, or how. So I can't fix it, but I can hold it off to the side and pretend it's not broken and go and hang out with my friends. All right, the 10th house. This is your career, and of course, another bordering sign of Sagittarius, Capricorn. And this card, it's called Eon. It represents the same thing as Judgment in other tarot decks. It's basically talking about the cyclical nature of time and how all of these things that have been here since the very beginning when everything was created, the same atoms will always be here. They'll just morph into different things. And that metamorphosis, we undergo it too, and it's what makes us grow, what makes us change, what causes us to become better people, fingers crossed, and not worse. We've got the Tower. Tower's all about control. A ship. So there could be travel involved in this new job. I think you're going to have a lot of control. And maybe a new gentleman friend will be helping you to find that. I get the sense that there's going to be something transformational about this new career path that you'll be headed off on. All right, Aquarius's house, the 11th house. It's all about your mental states. And possibly we will find out more about what this trauma is. Trauma can be anything too. It doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be graphic in nature. Embarrassment can be very traumatizing. And especially like the way people treat each other sometimes. If you treat a kid the same way you would treat an adult, the same kind of humiliation can really be damaging. We have the sun. Oh yeah, nothing to see here. Maybe there is no trauma. I think, overall, everything is great. You have really overcome a lot, and everything's doing just fine. So maybe there is no trauma. I do see the moon, which could be artistic endeavors. The snake is betrayal. So, and the rider is news of a creative betrayal. So maybe somebody was being immature, or it's going to be different for a lot of you. I do kind of get the sense of like, some of these betrayals aren't going to have been current things. They're things that go way back. All right. Drum roll, please. We have the House of Endings, which is Pisces house. And we have the Knight of Swords, represented by Osiris, and this is in the reverse. So this could be a very swift communication. This could be a air sign coming into your life very quickly, but either not until the very end of May or not until June or later. We do have the ring here. We have mice. Now the mice are nibbling away at whether it's your self-esteem or your resources, or perhaps you have like a trust fund and you've got a bunch of hangers-on who are always dipping into that trust fund, or somebody ignoring you and it's eating away at you inside. That's the mice. And then we have the garden, and that's a reminder to you: tend your garden. Your garden is how you cultivate your surroundings, the people around you, your environment, the food you eat, the places you go. All of that is tied into the garden energy. Alright guys, thank you so much, Sagittarius, for joining me and for all your support. I really do appreciate it. You coming back month after month, year after year. I am going to do mid-month readings starting in May, and those are going to be crystal scrying. So it'll be me touching on crystals, hovering my hands over them. I know a lot of times people don't actually touch the crystals when they're scrying. It helps me focus personally. Maybe I'm just not doing it right, but I get results, and that's what's important. Those are going to probably be a little bit more specific than how I do the general readings, because the information that you tend to get from crystal scryings is more like, I see this, and there's, the letter J, and, stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty excited to do it, and then I do have ideas for some other videos, and I'm excited to put those together as well. Thank you so much, Sagittarius. I hope you have an excellent month of May. and I'll see you again soon.